there, and he hooked the door. And I couldn't get out. And I tried to talk to him, but he didn't understand. He was just too young to unhook the door so I could get out. So I had to figure out a way because I thought he'd fall downstairs and get hurt. So I broke a window in the attic and crawled out on the porch roof and jumped off. And I got hurt pretty bad because I jumped not thinking.
Yeah.
I jumped and landed on the sidewalk. And I screamed and yelled and everything. And my mother said she knew that she heard me. But for some reason or other, she didn't come at that time. I guess they were just busy with their corn.
Yeah.
They had to pick it and then throw it in a wagon. And maybe she thought she heard me and maybe she didn't. But anyway, the window was broken and I never told her that I broke it because I didn't want her to, really scold me or make me feel like I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to tell her that my brother had hooked the screen door and I couldn't get out of the upstairs room. So that was one of the stories. And it did hurt my ankle really bad, but my mother put coal packs on it. And in those days, you just had to do with what you had on a farm,
Yeah.
It was okay. It healed up okay. And we didn't scold my brother, but having a little brother was really a problem because I always had to babysit with him. And one time he had a little kiddie car, and we had a big reservoir where our water was. We had a windmill that pumped the water, and it was preserved in this big reservoir. And the corn was just about that high. It was a little later in the season than it is now. And I was babysitting him, and suddenly he disappeared. And I knew he had his little kiddie car, which didn't have any pedals on it. You had to just sit on the seat and walk it with your feet. Oh, I thought, where in the world will I find him? And I got up on the reservoir, and I could see him between one of the corn rows. And I immediately went and got him. But I thought that was a frightening time.
Yeah. Well.
And being the babysitter is really a responsible job. You really have to watch some child that's under 2 or at 2.
Yeah.
And my son told me a story about my granddaughter, great-granddaughter. He has a big boat, and it has a high mast, 18 feet. And, of course, my granddaughter is always around him because she just loves him, and he just loves her out there. She always thinks she's helping with something.
Yeah.
And every time he'd pick up a board, she'd try to get the other end of it to lift it. Well, while he was working on his boat, she disappeared. And that reminds me of my experience with the stair and going up in the attic. And he called and he couldn't see her, and he looked all over, and he looked up, and guess what? She's hanging at the top of the mast, and there's just one pole that goes up. Now how that little girl got up there, I don't know, but here she was hanging. He thought, how am I going to get her down? Will I call a fireman? Will I, climb that pole? And he decided to climb the pole. And he did. And then when he got up there, she was hanging on for dear life because she could see that, she wasn't on the ground anymore. And he said, Victoria, just let Grandpa take you. She wouldn't let go. And he had a hold of her. And he was having a time hanging onto the pole and getting hurt too. But she finally let go, and he slid down the pole.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those are experiences you don't forget.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me interview you.
Yes.
You tell a lot of good stories.
Well, there's a lot of them. If I had time to sit down like I was writing, I'd probably think a lot more.
Yeah.
But life is full of it, And I lived through all the wars, since World War One. And the World War was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
My husband spent 4 years overseas. And that was an interesting life, too, for him.
Yeah.
When the war started, he was drafted. Everybody was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
I was in high school when the war broke out, and all my classmates went. Everyone went but one. And he couldn't walk because he had flat feet. And after the war, I was 17 years old, and that's when you like to go to dances and go places. You couldn't have a date because there wasn't any guys. Everybody was gone.
Yeah.
And so we all went to work, and he had a girlfriend when before he went, he had a girlfriend, and she was a nurse. And when he went, she wrote to him all the time. They corresponded. He was in Europe all this time.
Mm-hmm.
And during those 4 years is a long time to be away from home.
Yeah.
And somewhere in those 4 years, they decided when he came home, if he came home, a lot of soldiers were killed.
Mm-hmm.
They would marry.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he came home, she was terminally ill. And but they got married, and then she died. And then he thought he had to change what he intended to do in life, and so he thought he'd like to be a Catholic priest. And he had an interview, but it was decided between he and the counselor or whoever he talked to. I don't really know. I didn't know him then. And they decided he should remarry and have a home,
Mm-hmm.
because he was gone so long. And so he bought a house here in Iowa City. He had a job here at the telephone company. He worked for, I don't know if you've heard of AT&T.
Yeah.
It's a big communication system.
Yeah.
Okay, that's who he worked for.
Mm-hmm.
And I was teaching, and I met him at a dance, and then we started going together, and then we married.
Yeah.
And he lived 57 years with me, but his first marriage was very, very short.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt sorry for him because he was,
Yeah.
lonely and wanted a home of his own, and this is one of them. I had two brand new homes, and I had another home. The first one we lived on the other side of Iowa City. And he rebuilt that, and it was beautiful. It's kind of been neglected now. I've been by it. But I had a lot of happy times in that home. You
Yeah.
know, my first two children were born while we lived in that home.
Mm.
And then my third child, Ruth, she was born when we lived here. And
Mm.
she has a doctorate. She's not a medical doctor. She's got a PhD.
Mm. That's
And
cool.
my son is an engineer. And the little one over here is a nurse. And she called me last night and she told me her husband may have cancer.
Mm.
So,
That's bad.
you know. But one of the highlights of my life was meeting my husband and
Yeah.
knowing what a fine person he was. And you never know when you get married, you know, who you know, what kind of situation you're going to have. You know, you could have children that aren't well or something. Some of my boyfriends, you know, came home from the war and died at home, falling off a roof or things like that.
Yeah.
So life is full of excitement.
Yeah.
Good things and bad things.
Mhm.
So I'm sure glad you came.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me interview you.
Yeah. Well, I hope you can find something on there that will be interesting.
Yeah.
But the one thing in my life was marrying my husband. He was. I didn't want to really get married because I liked school, so
Yeah.
I just loved it. I had first graders, and I just cried because I wanted to stay teaching, but yet I wanted to marry my husband too. So,
Mhm.
but I got over it because I had my own son in a year. He was born in a year later after our marriage, and he's a real nice person,
Mhm.
handsome man. But his wife divorced him.
Mm.
She met somebody else.
Mm. Well.
But they just got home from Germany. All three of them were in Germany. They got home Sunday night. They're all working. Well, Janet don't work now that her husband's sick. She'll not be able to. I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I hope you can find some story you like in there.
Mhm. I'm almost certain that I can.
You have to read these stories to your class.
I don't know. I mean, I might. It depends. I mean, most likely I'll what's the word? Most
Play the
likely,
tape?
yeah. Most likely I'll play the tape for them, and so that was. I mean, there was a lot of cool stories. That was fun.
Well, there's